Hey everybody, this is Mitchell from Beginning Fit, hanging out here with Partner Wellness in this lovely park on this Saturday morning. We're going to talk about commonly asked questions of personal trainers. I'm the personal trainer, you're asking the questions. Let's go. I run off on tangents. If there's like a red light, like a comedy club that you can magically turn on, not know to wrap it up. Interesting story about becoming a trainer. I actually spent almost 8 years trying to be an actor, and eventually I retired from that. But I had a good friend that I made from acting who was already a very successful trainer, and I knew that I had to find something else that I was passionate about to be able to enjoy my professional career life. I wanted to do something that I knew I cared about and that I knew I'd be good at. Played sports in high school, was super into fitness through college and right after college, so it seemed like a good fit. Personalizing fitness plans for clients is an interesting topic. What I do personally, I send everyone a pre-workout questionnaire. So the point of it is to ask questions of the client that aren't necessarily super generic, like what are your fitness goals? And then listing body weight and height and all this other stuff. It asks a little bit more intuitive questions to help people kind of do a little deeper dive on their own. And then all I have to do is read that over. And from there, we can kind of start and create their plan, just so we know from the ground up, we are on the same page. And then the workouts themselves, I don't want to say it's easy, but once you know what the baseline expectations are and how people are thinking, then it helps you kind of direct your planning for how you want to structure the workouts. And then, the important thing is there's some give and take. So I'm not going to make a client do a whole bunch of workouts that makes them miserable. So there's a little bit of input from the client where it's like, yeah, I don't really want to do all that because XYZ. So there is a bit of a sharing of responsibilities between myself and the client, but ultimately, like baseline, like I want people to tell me about themselves, not just about their fitness goals. So common fitness myths that I often have to debunk. Probably the number one concern, and I don't mean to pick on you ladies, you're not going to get big from lifting weights. You hear it all the time talking to women who know they should strength train but are worried about getting bulky. That's probably the top one that I have to remind people. It's really, really challenging to get bigger. Like if I knew how to do that easily, I'd be twice my own size. So that's probably the number one myth that I frequently debunk. Beyond that, it's usually just telling people about all the bro science things that they've heard and letting them know that, yeah, like you might have heard that from someone who heard that from someone who heard that from someone, and that origination was just like a frat bro in college who lifted a lot of weights, but it's not based in science. So there's so many little ones, but number one myth is always I don't want to get big. And the reality is, like, you have to work really hard to get big, just like you have to work hard to go the other direction. Success stories for clients. One of my first clients, in fact, when I first started working at a gym almost 10 years ago, met him at a friend's wedding after party. He joined my gym specifically to train with me. Didn't even go to the gym on his own. We met 4 times a week. He barely did homework, if you will, and in about 9 months he lost 35 pounds. And that was only from training with me. So busy guy, basically used training as an opportunity to, pause his work day, let his coworkers, superiors, what have you know, like, I gotta go do this thing. But the fact that he was one of my first clients and had such a significant amount of success, that's the one that jumps to mind. They got what they were looking for. They got the results and they trusted a trainer, and now all of a sudden everyone's all the better for it. So my top tips for anyone just starting out on their fitness journey: find some semblance of consistency. Whether it's running, using some kind of cardio equipment at your gym, or lifting weights, figure out a frequency during the week that is realistic for you to stick with. You're gonna be way better off if you say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is gonna be my gym days. Pick a time of day that you can routinely get to, before work, after work. I'm a big fan of before work if you're someone who can wake up, because it just kind of sets the tone for your day. So it gives you a little bit more energy. And then if you have a really long day at work or otherwise, You don't have to decide, ooh, I need to go to the gym, or oh, I need to have a glass of wine with my friends. You already got it done. But I would say establishing a schedule you can stick to is probably my number one thing, because what you're doing when you're going to exercise is going to vary person to person. So find a way to stay consistent early on, build that healthy habit of going, and then from there you can work and build into it. So balancing flexibility, strength training, and cardio, personally, that's something that I put a lot of weight into, in the sense that I've gotten in the habit of stretching every morning for years. And I'm not saying that you have to do that and that's how you should, prepare yourself for fitness. I do that personally just so I feel and move better to start my day. Now, that's not saying I do a bunch of static stretches before my workout, but just getting in like a daily habit of feel good stretching has become a personal healthy habit of mine. And I do try to recommend it to a lot of clients depending on, how jammed up their bodies are. Strength training and cardio. Again, that comes down to a lot of what makes you happy, really. Some people hate cardio. Some people look at weights and, kind of recoil in horror. Obviously, there's a healthy balance of both, realistically. I always tell people, if you hate cardio, okay, but cardio is good for the old ticker. So you don't have to feel like I gotta go do this much walking on a treadmill or an elliptical. Just think of it as like any sort of activity that gets your heart rate up is cardio. So if you like playing basketball or volleyball, that's cardio. So doing some sort of cardio just for baseline heart health, right? Let alone if you're trying to become a endurance athlete. And then strength training, which is kind of my sweet spot. Really, everyone should do some amount of it just to strengthen your bones on a basic human level. The same way that cardio is good for your heart, resistance training is good for your bones. As we age, you got to keep those suckers strong. That being said, there's a number of studies that show how much you benefit from resistance training in both normal walking or walks of life. Strength training is going to help you out in so many ways that you may not realize until you're doing it. And so, whether you're doing all of the above, stretching, strength training, cardio, just strength training, at some point you're going to feel the need to move better, which is where you may realize, oh, I should be stretching. Cardio, again, just for baseline health concerns. But if you're someone who just does cardio, I really recommend you incorporate strength training, just because it's going to help your cardio efforts improve, and it's going to help your body stay strong moving forward. My favorite exercise used to be kettlebell swings, mostly because it combines strength, power, and endurance. And if you do enough of them, you feel like you just got a total whole body workout. My favorite workout overall, I really like a good full body strength session, ideally with a little bit of hit to it, high intensity interval training. Think of it as if you're on vacation and you got 45 minutes, you want to work out, grab a pair of dumbbells, maybe 2 pairs of dumbbells if they're available, and you can crank out a whole body workout, feel good head to toe, maybe look a little bit better in the mirror after you're done, and move on. I'm training for a fitness race right now, so every time that I have a good run, I'm not a runner by experience. I've only been running for like 4 months. So every time that I have a really good run, I feel great about it because I'm finally getting my body used to a new movement that it wasn't used to before. So I'm like sort of becoming a runner, and it's weird, but I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, wow, okay.
Expanding your horizons.
Yeah, exactly, which is, I always tell people to do it on their own. So now I'm actually practicing what I preach. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool. So you're like you're coming from like a typically strength kind of background, or?
Yeah, like my cardio has always been either playing sports or like kettlebell swings. So I've never liked running, and I actually only recently got over the hump where my run days were like, ugh, I gotta run today, but I did it anyway because I'm training, to where I'm like, oh, it's run day, okay, let's go. Like I crossed that threshold now where it's still not easy and I'm not by any means a great runner, but when it's my run day, we're going. There's no hesitation whatsoever. And so, you know, being in training when you are yourself a trainer, it feels great because then you know all the stuff that you're doing for clients, it works because it's working on you as well. I want to go over a very common move, a lunge, whether it's forward lunge, reverse lunge, walking lunge. Something that I've been having conversations about recently are the physical mechanics of it, and in particular, the balance of, you know, your upper body in correlation to your lower body. So whether you have a weight in your hands or not, the idea is you don't necessarily want to be lunging in a straight line. So we'll use a reverse lunge, step back lunge as an example, right? If you're stepping back and your weight's kind of floating in space, you probably just saw, you know, what just happened where I was kind of drifting around. So first thing is, and like everything else, right? We need to make sure we've got some bracing. Brace your core, super generic thing to say, trainers say it all the time, but really, you know, bracing for that punch kind of tension, chest up, because we want to make sure that your torso isn't wobbly. Easier to do that if you're holding onto a weight because you have a reason to stay more stable. But even without a weight, all the time I'll just, you know, faux goblet hold just to have something intentional to do with my arms. So now I'm braced here. When you lower into your lunge, you want to make sure your weight's favoring the working leg, not the off leg or the back toe. But something that I always talk about is the weight shift. So on this reverse lunge, as I step back with my left foot, my weight's gonna actually shift to my right leg. So now you can almost see my torso, it's not rotated, but it's slightly adjusted to be over the top of my working leg. So now, even in this kneeling position, my knee is down on the ground, but I have tension in that quad. So when I come back up from this lunge and push into this foot, I'm not gonna waver because I'm coming right back up, pushing off that strong leg. So I'll show you the same thing, stepping back with the right leg, putting my weight in the left. I'm gonna shift my weight and then lower. Now my weight's in that left quad. So when I stand back up right now, pushing through that foot, I'm coming back up to center. And so it'll end up happening kind of naturally, but there's a tiny little weight shift side to side on your lunge. So same thing if you're doing a forward lunge, right? I'm gonna step forward with my right leg. My weight is gonna shift slightly to my right side and then pushing off back to center. Get my weight shift slightly to the left side, pushing off back to center. So being aware of not just kind of doing a tightrope lunge walk, because that's where it gets unstable. There's a little bit of a weight shift, and think about the angle that your feet point. Most people don't stand with their feet straight forward. So if your feet are slightly turned out, when you go into your lunge, reverse, forward, walking, consider the angle your foot's pointing and kind of follow it. So my feet turn out a little bit naturally. So if I'm gonna do a forward lunge, I'm gonna end up stepping out at a slight diagonal. So when I step out at my right leg lunge, there's a little bit of an angle that I'm taking. So my weight shifts naturally for me, because I've been lunging for 10 plus years. But the idea is I'm adjusting my body weight and my body angle ever so slightly to accommodate the direction that my feet are turning and to not just kind of get lost in space. So think about that slight weight shift during your lunge, whatever version it is. If your weight shifts ever so slightly over that working leg side, I think you're gonna notice a huge difference. Same thing with a squat, right? Your ideal body positioning is always your torso and your shin to be parallel or as close to parallel. There's always some variation within that because people are different torso lengths, different leg lengths. But generally speaking, when you go back, I'll use the reverse lunge as an example. When you step back, right, my weight's gonna shift. I'm trying to get into this position where there's as close to parallel for my upper body and my shin as I can be, which then creates the best distribution of weight between my quad and my glute. And so now when I stand back up, that weight is going into my entire foot. My weight's not gonna shift forward into my toe. I'm not gonna step back into my heel. I'm going straight back up from that lunge. I'll show you again, lowering on the same leg, down and back up. Obviously with practice it becomes more of a natural movement, but getting into the habit of feeling the difference in your movement, and almost, not that I suggest doing bad reps on purpose, but I'll show you from the other side. If you do a rep, and I'll use the reverse lunge as an example, you step back too far, now your weight's all the way back here, you're not even putting your weight into the front leg. All of my weight's on my back knee because I stepped back too far. So let me reset. Let me try another bad version. Now my weight's too far forward. My left heel came off the ground, so there's no glute involved, and all this pressure's in my knee. So now let me readjust. So now let me split the difference, step back, right down. Now I have my quads tense, my glutes tense. I feel better balanced, feels stronger, feels more stable, and then when I push my foot in the ground, that's an even amount of tension throughout my entire leg. So if you're watching a random YouTube workout, it might look like an awesome workout. There might be moves in there that you don't know how to do well, so you're now trying to do something with less than stellar form and you could hurt yourself. But also, maybe the workout you're following is meant for someone who is training for a CrossFit competition or an endurance athlete, whatever the case may be. It might not even be right for what you're trying to do. So, just randomly choosing workout because it looks cool or because it says like 45-minute total body soul crusher. Cool name. Does that even work for you? And I realize that there's a lot of available online training content, myself providing some as well. So I'm not saying you shouldn't seek out online training programs. You should. It's a super helpful way to get into fitness if you aren't able to work with someone in person or go to a location where you can work with people. Definitely invest in training if an online program is for you. Just make sure it's for you and that you're not just cherry picking exercises and workouts to follow just so you get a good sweat on, right? There's got to be a little bit more of like a meticulous approach to it. That's my rant. So what I mean is understanding why using a chest press as an example, understanding why a particular movement pattern for a chest press is going to be better for you will allow you to take that understanding when we're not working together anymore. So my goal is always for you to not need me. So I want you to be able to fully understand why you're doing things in a certain way so that you can then take that information for the rest of your life and put it into effect when you're at the gym, in the park, wherever, doing your own workouts. So I want to talk about pull-up mechanics real quick, or pull-down mechanics if you're doing a seated cable pull-down. It's the same movement mechanics that are required of each movement, just the pull-ups are way harder. So what a lot of people probably don't realize is when they go to do a pull-up or a pull-down, they're pulling with their arms. Yeah, your arms are involved for sure, but the primary movers of that pulling action are your lat. So the idea is when you go for that pull up or pull down, right? If you're pulling here and then even worse, as you pull, your shoulders elevate, we're not even using the muscles that you're trying to train with that movement. The idea is as you pull down, your shoulder blades should be depressing first and then your arms follow. So I'm going to show you what it looks like from the back side so you kind of get a better idea of it. Shoulder blade action here. So it's bad example would be doing this and then running out of gas. So shoulders first, arms second. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Again, my name is Mitchell. Beginning Fit is the name of the brand. If you want to reach out, you can find me two ways. You can hit me up on Instagram. It's beginning_fit_. Make sure you've got the little underscores after the word beginning and fit. And then my website is just beginning-fit.com. That dash is, the middle one not to be confused with the underscore. So again, beginning_fit_ for Instagram, beginning-fit.com for the website. Message me, DM me on Instagram. You can go to the website and send me a message through there and I'll get your email. Whatever questions you have, I love questions. I'll answer any questions whatsoever. If you want to just go check out the Instagram, look at some of the clips, throw a like on there. I appreciate that as well. A follow is great too, whatever you feel is necessary, but reach out to me, whatever information you want, I am happy to provide. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.